What would you do if you wanted to communicate with a deaf person who doesn't know how to read, but you don't know how to sign either? Around 60 years ago, a man named Hanash, who was in his early 20s, single and living with his parents and siblings, in a small farming town in southwestern Iran named Sadat Tawaher, lost his hearing completely. Hanash had not gone to school, so he didn't know how to read or write, but he was in his early 20s. And before that, he could hear completely fine. So he had acquired his native language, which is Arabic. Everybody in that small town spoke Arabic. However, because he had not gone to school, he didn't know how to read. Therefore, communicating with him through writing was not an option to anyone. On the other hand, there was no deaf education or sign language, and no one had had any exposure or access to deaf education or sign language. Therefore, using sign language was not an option either. So what would you do in this situation? There was only one option left to the people of Sadat Tawaher, and particularly to his family. They decided to gesture: go, sit, see, sleep, also die. So people tried to communicate with him by gesturing. In linguistics, the term homesign is used to describe communication systems that are based on gestures. Homesigns emerge in families that have deaf members who do not know sign language, and the family members do not know sign language either. Usually, homesigns emerge in families that kids are born deaf. In this case, Hanash was born hearing. But the situation is quite similar. What is very surprising about Hanash's family is that after 60 years, now they have a language that has all the characteristics of a fully developed language. Hanash is my father, and I grew up signing to him. That was the first thing that I noticed about my father. I could not use speech to talk to him. I had to use gestures. And after 60 years now, we have a sign language that you can use very effectively to communicate very successfully with Hanash, with my father. You can ask questions. You can make statements. To ask questions, you simply raise your eyebrows. Is it raining? And to negate a sentence, to make it negative, you simply shake your head side to side. Eyebrow raising and side to side head shake are only two examples of facial expressions and head movements that are universally shared in all sign languages in the world today, as documented by many, many linguists. That is not the only surprising thing about Hanash's family's sign language. What is more surprising is that everybody speaks Arabic in that small hometown. And also, Hanash was the first and probably the last person to be deaf in that small town. So you would expect the grammar of this sign language to be exactly the same or very similar to the grammar of Arabic. It is not. They are quite different. There is more to this story. What is very surprising is that you find features in this sign language that are shared in all other sign languages. Raising the eyebrows is an example. The head shake is also another example. You find these examples in Greek, Turkish, and American Sign Language, and also in Nicaraguan Sign Language. You also find it in home signs that emerged in Brazil and Bangladesh. Why is that? I believe this is because language is a truly human phenomenon. It's a phenomenon that is not bound by any boundary. It is not bound by culture or even the language that surrounds that home sign or that sign language, not even by ethnicity or race, not even by geography. It is the glue that binds us together as the human race. Language is a truly human phenomenon. Last year, about a year ago, on December 27, 2021, Hanash passed away. He left this world on his little small farm, but he left a legacy, a language that survived and helped people to communicate with him for 60 years. This legacy is the topic of my PhD dissertation. Thank you.